Hello, everyone.
Thank you guys for listening to Marriage in a Minute today. We are glad to be here.
Stop. It's beautiful.
Jesus,
It is
stop me.
absolutely beautiful outside.
She stopped me in my tracks.
Sorry. It is so super beautiful. We're so grateful because the last couple of days of nonstop rain really, really damaged a lot of people. And we are so absolutely grateful. As we were praying this morning and last night, we were just like, wow, so many. And we didn't even know it was that bad until relatives from New York started calling out and saying, hey, are you guys okay? Are you guys flooded? And then we started just listening to local news and also church family, of course, reaching out because they've been flooded in. So we really, our hearts and prayers go out to those who are waking up this morning, just still washing, still pushing water out. So it really was a bad storm. So we're hoping those people have, they're on the other, making the mend on the mend. And it's hot right now. So I'm hoping that, of course, that those folks will dry out today, and we're all drying out. So we had a great morning exercise as usual on a Saturday morning, and also yard work. Oh my gosh.
Too much exercise. We did exercise, and then we went home and did exercise again.
Yard work.
In the yard, and I consider it exercise because
Listen,
I was bending and jumping.
The man threw one bag of mulch and I almost had to call 911. He's like, I'm so tired, I'm dying.
I am.
So anyway, hello Jamaica.
Yes, Jamaica guys, glad to be here to give you a shout out to the Jamaican. I call them the Yard Encounter guys. These guys that were in Jamaica that I went to be able to minister to them, to be a part of that great time. So big up to you guys listening.
Big up to you guys. I don't know you, but I know you through my husband. So, hey. So, anyway, so we're back and we're still talking about when love fades. And just a reminder that last week, the verse we used was, you say it better than I do. I don't know why. I'm tongue-tied.
Yes.
But it talks about when we,
says,
we all.
Isaiah 53. And excuse me, guys, my glasses. I'm wearing my wife's glasses today.
Yeah, he can't find his glasses.
I can't see, but it says.
So I asked him for $20 and he gave me $40. So I'm gonna milk this until he's, But anyway, Isaiah
53 verse 6, a very powerful verse. It says, "All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way." And if you notice, this is all.
Yeah.
All, not just some of us. All of us are like sheep have gone astray. So when you have a herd, is that what you call it? No, it's a cow, right?
I have no idea.
Sheep. When you have you have sheep.
Yeah.
You have the shepherd, and then one sheep or two sheep.
Speaking of Jesus, the shepherd. Let's do the shepherd and the sheep. Yeah.
So in marriage, sometimes we all go astray. We all fade.
Yeah.
In our
we get to a place where we have no idea how we got there, but this beautiful wedding day and this house, the kids, the whatever, the job, the stresses of the world, everything else, the cares of the world get so heavy that sometimes it seems like love fades in our marriage. Yeah. But like the Bible said, we all go astray. We drift. Yeah. And we talked about that, and we pointed out a few things that made us drift last week, just doing our own thing and going our own way. But, there's a time to pull back and bring things back together. And that's what we just want to kind of, as we pointed out some of the pitfalls last week, we just want to show you ways to get back to where we need to get to.
Yeah, to grow it back. When you get that haircut and you call it a fade, and then it grows back. It's such a great thing. So you could do another haircut again. But anyway, listen to this. It says, one reason couples drift apart is that they fail to make their marriage the priority it should be. God created marriage to be a priority. And this is very key. That's a reason why it fades or it fails or it drifts, because we don't make it a priority. And how do you make it a priority? So that's what we're going to talk about today, ways to make your marriage a priority, ways to bring it back. Because like Michelle said, all of us in our marriages, every marriage, at some point the love fades. And it's because we don't prioritize. We don't make each other priority. We don't put each other first. So it can happen, and it's a natural thing. But marriage, if you really think about it, is created by God. So it's a supernatural move that God made. So we have to move with Him in the supernatural, not in natural, because the natural is going to fade, like it happens sometimes. So that's what we are going to talk about today. Ways how we can
get back on track.
Back on track with your,
Yeah.
if your marriage is in a dungeon, or if it's just barely fading, or if it's like a deep fade, the love is almost gone, so to speak. You could bring it back.
Yeah.
You could bring it back.
Yeah, and it takes more than just wanting. It really does take you go beyond where you are, and go beyond what you think you should do, and be to the point where it's necessary, that you feel like you're glorifying God in even just living in your marriage, because you can sit there and do absolutely nothing, and no one's willing to make the move. But today we want to just a reminder, hey, like my husband was saying, why don't you tell each other what you like about each other? Not necessarily dislike, because if you're drifting already, I don't think it would be a great point to start telling, hey, I don't like. But just remember, it's like going down memory lane and reminiscing about, I liked it when we used to do this. I enjoyed when we would come home and just go on the beach and just not even spending a dime, but just let the water go through our feet, not even getting into the water, but reminding each other what you like to do, go down memory lane and just remember when we did this, because sometimes we forget. And the reason why we forget, like I said before, the weight of the cares, they become so heavy. We were talking the other day, and my husband and I, not like yesterday, the other day, but, as we talk about our moms aren't married. And, we talk about, life with aging parents. Like just stuff, like you bring up stuff that that matters. If you know that your wife or your husband, their mom or dad is aging, and you know how much they mean to each other, remind them, hey, I'm here for you. Remind them, hey, I'm still bought into the covenant. I'm still bought into what we planned before. Things get a little sketchy, but we can bring it back together.
Yeah, that is so true. And earlier my wife said something. She said not necessarily the dislikes, and it's not a good thing to be pointing at the negatives. But the reality is that there are times when the things that cause the love to fade, you have to bring them out. So, for example, if Michelle is a situation where I feel like I have to tell her, hey, this is not something I like that you do, or she tells me. There's nothing wrong with that, because you don't want to sit there thinking that everything is okay, and then, it keeps fading. So, it's like we were watching a video the other day, and the husband said, on a scale of 1 to 10, he thinks that the marriage is a 10, and the wife thought the marriage was a 2.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there, and the marriage is not going well in your eyes because of, things that you want to talk about that you would prefer to change, and you don't say it, then your wife doesn't know, or your husband doesn't know. So
Right.
it's good to sit and say, hey, in a loving way, because God said we should do everything in love, to point out, what you would like to change. So just want to clarify that.
Right. And I think a good night is to have, we talk about date nights before, and we will continue to talk about date nights because they are important. And as you try to get back from that drifting, one of the most important things, you guys have to go out, and you've got to, and like we've said, we know people are struggling. So we're not saying, go to a 5-star hotel. We're not saying go anywhere. Hey, you can just grill in the backyard, just you and your spouse, and say, hey, let's talk. Have that date night. You can have a date night, go to the beach, just drive, walk in the water. You can throw sand at each other. Not in my hair or in my eye, right? Not in my hair.
That is so true. Though.
Yeah, but
it doesn't have to
just
be anything.
do fun, and wherever you are, you're listening. Throw snowballs, whatever. It doesn't matter. Wet each other up with water in the beach and run around and frolic a little bit and have a good time. Remember, sometimes I think we get so uptight. We take life so super serious when the Lord really wants us to be. And he even said, if you take the kingdom like children, where there's truth, there's honor, there's respect, like a child to a parent, how they, they honor their parents. They keep coming back to their parents because that's the only place that they know to go. And it's the same way as we take the kingdom. So have date nights and choose whatever you want to do. But one of the other most important thing is have a night of discussion where you guys decide that, look, everything is on the table except harsh and loudness.
Right. In love. But listen, it's key because God created marriage with a particular avenue for you to take, so to speak, for lack of a better word. If you don't prioritize your spouse, your marriage will not work. It will fade if you don't prioritize. So even that date night that you're planning to do, have you ever noticed how easy it is for you to plan with others or plan with, it becomes like a norm, and then you end up taking your spouse for granted. It's easy to happen. So you have to be intentional to, if you're in a place right now where you feel like the love is fading, like you feel like your marriage is not where it should be, it's time to stop and take stock of, what needs to be done, because you need to bring it back. So these are the things that we're pointing out to you that you can do. Like Michelle said, it doesn't have to be anything big,
expensive,
just something different.
Just something different.
The atmosphere in the marriage.
Yeah. And celebrate each other's differences.
Yes.
Remember, God made us different. We're equal, but we are different. And there's no way better. Like my husband and I, we're equal, but we're different. And we've got different likes. We've got different tendency. We're bent towards certain things differently just because of personality. But it doesn't mean we're wrong. But it does mean that we really have to give consideration for each other. So a part of that is we've got to love each other through our differences and celebrate that, because God made us a certain way. Now, our bent and our dispositions would want to lead to a certain way, and that drift towards isolation where, like my husband said, my husband loves soccer. So instead of just keep going to soccer games by yourself, even though he knows it's not my favorite thing to do, he'll say to me, hey, do you want to go? And, maybe I'll think about it one day and say, yeah, I'll go. So it's that bent toward you doing things by yourself. Like for me, going to the mall or whatever, if I know he doesn't like to shop or walk around and, have that look on his face like I'm in for 100 years, whatever, in the mall, whatever. He's been sentenced, So I once in a while, if I'm going, I'll say, hey, do you want to go? I won't stay long. So we're not sometimes when we drift towards things that we like for ourselves, what we do, we eventually tell ourselves that we can live. So this part of us that we might love to shop or whatever it is, or my husband might like to go to a soccer game, he's so good about going by, so he doesn't need me in those 4 hours.
Yeah, that's basically true. So listen to this interesting thing. I love soccer, right? But when I met Michelle, I never played basketball.
It was horrible looking, y'all.
Yeah, I admit that. I used to hit the backboard and miss the rim completely.
Yeah.
But I started to go with Michelle to the basketball court because she loves basketball. And, that's what love does, it sacrifices. So guess what happens now? I end up loving basketball. So we do basketball together. It's love and basketball. So just a picture of how you can, build together.
And then when you think about the love, when we say love fades, right? We were talking about this as we did as we were preparing for the show, and we're like, when you get a new car, remember we were talking about that? Like you get a new car, you love the car because then you spent like $40,000-$50,000 and you get a payment plan and you love this car, but you don't get up feeling the same way about this car in 3 months or whatever. Yeah. But you don't throw the car away. Yes. You end up, you're like, I'm committed to this cycle of payments. I'm committed to owning this car. So that's what you do. You
have to do an oil change on the car every 3 months, so to speak.
Yeah.
You're not going to sit there and just not do it because it's going to die.
Right.
You have a flower garden. You love the garden and it's growing.
You water it.
You're not gonna leave it just to
Yeah.
die. So what you do is if you notice that the car is dying, if you notice that the oil is dirty, if you notice that the garden is dying, the flowers are dying, you're gonna do something. You're gonna
You make a move.
water it.
You
You're
don't
gonna
sit
do an
down.
oil change. Yeah. So same thing with marriage. You
Yeah.
know, it's a natural thing for it to fade, for the love to fade. It will happen at times, but you don't just sit there and let it just die. You do something to get it back to grow again.
Right. And that's what we're just saying.
Yeah.
You know, we're just saying, hey, realign yourselves with things that you did at one time where you see that the marriage was thriving and thriving well. Sometimes as a family, you know, we take a hit, whether it's a loss of a job, it's, you know, anything that really affect you in an adverse way. It might take a hit. You feel a completely different way than your spouse, whatever. But the point of it is when you take that hit, discuss it together. Man, this really put me out or whatever. And remember, when we went through COVID and we used to do those shows about COVID, how important it is. We were talking about, man, this is a big deal. You've got to sit and say, how has this affected you? You know, you get a new boss. You might think this is not a big deal. You get a new boss at work. Hey, I'm a little bit stressed and uptight. I'm getting a new boss. Whatever it is, talk about it. Share with each other about your anxieties and your fear. And, you know, just don't sit back and do nothing.
Yeah.
That's our advice.
Yeah, that's it. You know, we're at the end of our program, but just remember this one thing. We're going to leave you with this. Love does not naturally stay sweet, put it that way, because you're both different people. You're human beings. Even though you're children of God, you're still humans, and your human side will come out. But you don't sit and watch and do nothing, because it's going to continue to deteriorate. So even though the love fades, then it can come back to both of you starting to dance together, and love will dance. So next week, we're going to go into the next topic, love dances. So join us next week. I can't wait for that. We're at the end of our program today. Remember, love dances next week. Join us on Omega Radio Broadcasting Network. In the meantime, check out our website, www.marriagevantagepoint.com. And remember, you are the MVP in your marriage. She doesn't like that, but I had to say it. Have a great day, guys.
Have a great day.
Bless
See you guys next week. Bye.
All right, Omega listeners, you were just tuned in to Marriage in a Minute right here on Omega Radio. Go ahead and tune in next week, Saturday at the same time of 3:30 to 3:45 p.m. right here with your hosts, Karim and Michelle Hyatt on Omega Radio. So go ahead and stay tuned in and stay locked in. And thank you for tuning in to today's program of Marriage in a Minute.
From this moment.
Hey, radio listeners. This is Michelle Hyatt,
And this is Karim Hyatt.
host of Marriage in a Minute. Tune in every Saturday at 3:30 p.m. right here on Omega Radio Broadcasting Network for encouraging words on marriage.
And listen, guys, check out our new website, www.marriagevantagepoint.com. And remember, you are the MVP in your marriage.
From this moment.